right, and I think we're here. I think we're connected for Twitch, Facebook. Waiting for YouTube, but that's fine. All right, so welcome everyone to the first Comic Banter live stream. This channel has been a long time coming. Been working on it for a while. Worked with a few different shows. Worked with the Geek Say What Network, which evolved over time, and they've had a bunch of different shows themselves, from Geek Offensive, Geek KO. Now they're also part of the In Quest of Geek show. And then I've started my own podcast, and it's been building up for a while. And I wanted to kind of kick it off. And during this time, we've got a lot of extra time on our hands, so I thought I'd get started with something I love. And for that, it is Marvel trading cards. I thought it'd be a great time to get together with friends, talk about trading cards. There was a show that Henry Gilbert did that covered some cards and stuff, and I thought it was really good. And no one's really kind of gone on from there and done more. So I decided, let me just go ahead and fill that space that needed to be filled. So today we have with me, let me see if I've got this down correctly. I'm still learning, folks. I've got, there we go, RayAnthony Height, from a litany of things, of course. I mean, he's worked for Marvel on Scarlet Spider, Spider-Man. He's worked with Lion Forge on, I want to say, numerous titles, but the one that comes to my mind off the top of my head is Superb. Thank you. It's like the name was on the tip of my tongue. Superb, and of course his very own creator-owned title, Midnight Tiger. And then, of course, with me is one of my longtime cohorts and friends and brother from another mother, DJ Blue Lantern, aka Producer Vic, aka Z and E's dad. Like, what more needs to be said? Thank you for joining us, Victor.
Thank you.
So we're starting off today. We're going to start talking about Marvel trading cards, and for us, I'm going with one of the first sets that I got in when it was released. It was the 1992. Let me see if I've got this. The 1992 Marvel Universe trading card series. And so with Marvel Universe Series 3, they had just kind of an interstellar background. It was really it really popped. I remember getting these in packs. Later on, I would buy like a whole box of the next set, Series 4. That's for a live stream down the line. But yeah, I mean, that was my kind of introduction to Marvel Universe. When a time when there was no Wikipedia and there was a Marvel Universe handbook, but that was like, you'd have to, if your comic store had a back issue bin, you could go back and check that out. If your comic store didn't have a back issue bin, you were kind of out of luck, because they didn't really have trades of those at the time. They have since then. They've put them out in reprints. They've made them more available. It's been really nice, but in the intervening time, it hasn't been the best thing to be able to do. So, right, guys, what was your experience with them? How did you get into Marvel trading cards or comic ones at all? I'll kick it over to Victor.
Yeah, let Vic start.
I saw the look in your eyes. I'm like,
listen. It's exactly like you, Ken. It's like it started with this series. Marvel Universe Series 3 was my introduction to the comic book trading cards, period. But it's also like my introduction to the Marvel trading cards. And yeah, you're right. Like, if you didn't have your hands on the official handbooks to the Marvel Universe, like, these were your guide to like the details and powers of these characters and their origins and stuff like that. So it's really cool to jump in on this series, and it was a sad addiction. It created a sad addiction. Yeah. I even went backwards and collected like series 1 and 2, and yeah, like you said, I want to go into series 4. That was even worse than my obsession with series 3.
Yeah, I mean, it's something like, I'm like, we're spoiling things ahead of time, because it's like series 4, for those who don't know, once you got the entire like 9 cards together, they would form an image. So if you put them in a 9-pocket page, you just had one big image, and like, it was just, that was the coolest thing, because as they did at the end of the first X-Men Series 1 set, Jim Lee did the Danger Room,
Oh,
and
so
all
beautiful.
9
Yeah.
cards made
Yeah.
that danger room.
Oh man.
And you were just like,
That
this
was
is the
insane.
best thing ever. Sorry for the speakers,
Yeah.
guys.
No. That's it. Anything less would have been cheapening it. So yeah, no, that's perfect. I was trying to get that. I was trying to get that whole collector image. And I mean, it's like Vic said, it was an addiction for a while. And you get a bunch of the same cards a lot of times, right? So,
Oh yeah.
that was kind of yeah. I think I had a ton of Beasts. Maybe that was why I ended up loving Beasts so much. But yeah, like I had a ton of that. I loved the Dazzler and Long Shot cards.
Okay.
Those were gorgeous to me. I mean, it was some of, I thought, the best depictions of those two characters.
Yeah, that's one thing I started reaching out to everyone, asking like, what are some of your favorite sets? Of course, the Jim Lee set was always at the top of everyone's list. And it's like, I agree, it's phenomenal. One thing I like about Marvel Universe is that you have a variety of artists. Like one card we're going to kick off with, it'll be, a well-known artist. The next one you'll be like, oh, hey, that guy's just a workhorse in the industry. And you have a lot of variety. That Jim Lee set, I love it, and we may cover it sometime. But to a degree, I was worried of like, this card is by Jim Lee. It's amazing. One of the best pictures of Wolverine ever. I don't know what else to say.
Now,
Next
who drew the Cyclops card?
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Interestingly enough, Jim Lee.
Wow,
So...
that's interesting. Yeah, totally get you there. Yeah, no, you're totally right, Ken. That's what I loved about this series, is that a lot of the artists, like these were like mainstream comic artists doing these cards. And I remember the Nightcrawler one. I'm not going to go into it, but the Nightcrawler one, like the artist that did that introduced me to like everything else that he does, and became a fan of his stuff. So, yeah, it's really awesome to see the amount of detail that they put into making sure that they had like current, like awesome artists doing these cards. Like they didn't skimp on it, they didn't go cheap on it. It was all quality.
Yeah. And on the note of the tin set, I do have the Marvel Universe Series 3 tin set.
Of course.
Still in the plastic, numbered. Oh, crap in a hat. So yeah.
And that's how it ended.
And that was the first and last episode of Comic Banter. I hope you all enjoyed your stay. So yeah, I mean that's where we all kind of started, and that's where I think this is a maybe an internal thought about Marvel and some of their current plans, but I think this could be re-explored in a more collectible manner to engage with young readers. Like you need something to get them hooked early. By the way, I'm jumping into chat right now. I do see that Alex Chung says that he loved the Jim Lee X-Men set. He has the tin as well, because that's why I grabbed mine. Yes, Arthur Adams. We will be covering Arthur. He's in a couple of the sets. Yeah, and then Optimus Dixon said Marvel Universe was my guide to keeping people and their continuity straight.
Nice.
So,
yeah, it's a great way.
Yeah. So like we're gonna kick it off with like, and it's funny because I was looking at this and I'm like, this is very much like when making a mixtape. I think of high fidelity. It's like you've got to kick it off. You got to kick it off with a bang. And
of course,
Eric Larson, Spider-Man, like he was one of my first Spider-Man artists. He was doing the Spider-Man series. This is after Todd McFarlane had jumped off, and it was during, I want to say, Revenge of the Sinister Six or Return. Those two, I flipped the two in my mind, but it's the one where later on, like Spider-Man has a cast that looks like a cybernetic arm, and like that run was one of my first. And it's like I loved him for his Spider-Man stuff. He's guys want to?
No, you're totally right. Like his art was amazing on the series. And it was funny that you mentioned like Todd McFarlane, because I felt like him jumping right after Todd McFarlane complimented McFarlane stuff, and so it's just perfect to seeing that. And there's just, I mean, he doesn't quite do the insane poses that McFarlane always tried to do and that he carried over with Spawn, but it's really cool that he still like captured like the acrobatics that Spidey would end up doing during the series, and this card totally shows that off. It's really awesome, and I love the back of the card, like the half face piece is it was one of my earliest shots of seeing it, because I had only started reading comics a few years before the series came out, so to see that on the back of the card was just awesome, and it looks perfect.
Oh yeah, well, well, I want to say, I don't know if Ditko did it first. I want to say John Romita Sr. did it first. The half face.
No, he did, but it wasn't like for me when I started reading comics.
Oh
like
no, I wasn't.
yeah.
I wasn't like, oh no, Vic, you didn't
Calling
do
me
it.
out,
No.
Ray.
I wasn't
Actually.
calling you out, but it was mostly like,
Actually.
who did that first? Yeah, and actually, God, oh my God, have I turned into that? I don't want to be that thing. Well, actually, no.
We all have our
But
faults.
yeah, yeah, exactly, right. I mean, it's Spider-Man, so I have a certain feeling about Spider-Man. I know we're talking about Marvel stuff, but Ken is repping his Nightwing. So
You know what? I got the Marvel here too. I've got the
make a
pandemic
decision,
hair.
Ken. Make a decision.
I've got the pandemic hair, so I had to keep it. I had to keep it on lock. Just no one needs to see that right now. But yeah, so like, and Victor said too, like that half face is just emblematic of Spider-Man.
Yes.
And also I believe Marcus mentioned the webbing. That's very much the McFarlane, like where he started doing like the naughty webbing where it's like spaghetti caught up on itself as it sprawls out. Yeah. I love too where this series didn't have it, but the previous sets did the did you know in the bottom where it's like, did you know that Spider-Man's uncle was also a circus performer, things along those lines.
Yeah.
I love those. I do like the power ratings, but there's always times where like they would contradict it. So, but that was like a fight in the schoolyard of like, man, Hulk's stronger than that. He can take on that guy. And you're like,
and then, but actually,
yeah, the card says that he's only a level 7.
Yeah,
it's like,
but yeah, as a kid, that was your truth. That was your argument right there. Like I have the proof right here. Look at this card. Like it says right here that who's stronger or who's faster.
Let me reach into my backpack and I'll show you right now.
Yeah. You pull out your binder, you're like flipping through it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. No, that's exactly it. That was my favorite thing, just to see where the power levels were.
Yeah. It's interesting too, because I'm looking at this and I'm like,
of course,
they have
now, it depends on who's writing it and the circumstance.
Yeah.
But
yeah. And it's like looking at some of the like the mental power, like he's a 2, and I'm like, wait, does that mean with energy projection he has none? Like, how does that balance out? But
yeah.
Yeah, like looking at these ratings now, this is going to be really fun, guys. Looking at these ratings now, I'm like, yeah, they really didn't give old Pete much credit here.
Yeah,
because he's done so much, I guess, since then. What is this? What
this
year did these come out?
92.
92, my graduation year. Because I'm an old. Let's see. But yeah, I'm really kind of like totally tripping out on the power rating, but this is super cool. And getting back to Larson, even though I knew about Larson well before he was he was doing Marvel stuff anyway, like on a lot of the Marvel Comics Presents work. And when he took over Spider-Man after McFarlane, I thought that was a great fit. But he grounded some of the stuff that McFarlane was doing, because it's still a lot of the stuff Todd had introduced, but it wasn't like this over the top kind of thing, and it was totally Larson. He put his stamp on it, so it was a good transition.
Yeah. And then he also, with that transition, like sorry, like he still kept like certain elements, and it's just like you guys are saying, just it's such a nice fluid movement into the next one.
Yeah.
So we definitely touch base with Spider-Man, and then like again with the next mixtape, you cool it down a notch and you bring in Quasar.
Wow.
And so with these, I love that it's so like a lot of these cards will have like the signature just hidden somewhere. And so this one, like it's down in the side of the building. It's that little GC for Greg Capullo. And it's funny because it's like I remember reading the series and then it never made the connection. Like, wait, this is also the Spawn guy, and now he's the Batman guy, and he's gone on to so many other things. It's like he started Quasar. I remember the Nega Bands. It was not a series that I had like my Spider-Mans, but I definitely had at least a couple runs.
I remember like catching the GC, the Greg Capullo, like, and I became obsessed. Like, I think because when I started reading comics, it was all X-Men stuff, and then of course, he was around this time he was doing his X-Force run. So I got obsessed when I noticed on the cards, what's cool about these cards is also like it's if you weren't paying attention to the comics, if you just like read them and put them away, you weren't paying attention to who, like the people that worked on it. But these cards, since you know all you have is what's on this card itself, I captured like the artist I was working on. I like caught his initials and found out it was Greg Capullo, and I just became obsessed with every card that he did in this series. And it's just insane that like this guy leaves Marvel, does Spawn for a long time, and then he's been doing Batman for almost a decade now. So it's insane that like you know this artist that you know I became a fan of you know almost 30 years ago is like his style just kept on evolving and just looking cooler and cooler. But if you even looking at this card still looks awesome. Like it still looks great. It still has that Capullo touch, and I love that about this card. It's so awesome.
Yeah, the card itself, actually, looking at the artwork, I was a big collector of Quasar this particular run. Okay. And I'm a big fan. If you go to my Twitter, you'll see they had this thing on Twitter. It was like, what were the comic titles that I get in high school? This was one of them. So, and I posted the pregnancy cover. Like, you know, I don't know if you guys, that was a big cover back then. Quasar, he was on the cover. And I forgot who, it was like a mimic of like a popular, I don't know, it was People magazine or something cover. And somebody was pregnant on the cover. And then this one was like Quasar. Okay. And yeah, it's on there. You go to my Twitter, you'll see it. But in this image, he was really starting to come into his own, because when he first started Quasar, Greg had, I don't know, I kind of felt like it was a little bit of the Jim Lee thing, a little bit of his, you know, because everybody was kind of doing that kind of style. But towards, I don't know, not the last few issues, but I would say the first 6 or 7 issues, this started happening. Like he started becoming Greg Capullo, and you could see it in his faces. Yeah, you could see it totally.
Yeah,
like that's still, those same eyes are still there
and stuff like that. So he's evolved. It's still there. Yeah, it's totally still there. Yeah. But yeah, I just, you know, I loved it, and Greg was a big part of the reason why I love this series.
Nice.
Next up is one of definitely mine and Victor's favorites. Sleepwalker.
Nice. Sleepwalker. Yes.
Oh boy. Okay.
It's one of those
the 90s.
Yeah.
Yes. Like he is super 90s.
I think in the last set he was actually a rookie card. And so in this one he's like, no, I've made it. I'm a superhero, top of the line. That's I remember having, because I did probably pick them up out of a quarter bin, but I had a fair amount of Sleepwalkers. I enjoyed it. It was kind of an interesting concept. It's interesting too because he still has legs. Like he still keeps going. Like they just had him in the recent, I want to say Infinity, the crossover where they merged characters together. So they merged X-23 and Scarlet Witch together. Infinity Warps. Thank you.
Infinity Warps. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he was in the dream realm, so he never got affected. So his story is about trying to, unmerge this amalgam of people. So
he's kind of like maybe like an access type character.
Yeah, he's giving access.
Gotcha. Yeah, cool.
So
it's like benevolent Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, yes.
There you go.
There you go.
No, I collected Sleepwalker. I mean, it was cool. And do you remember when I want to say Kirkman brought him back? Several
for like
ago.
a mini, right? Yeah, I think you're right.
Doing something with him.
Well, I think it was during the Marvel team up.
Kirkman.
Yeah, I know Kirkman did a Marvel team up for a little bit. Yeah.
Nope, Brett Blevins is like awesome. His New Mutants run.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And in the chat we have a couple people making comments. Rad Newt is saying like, so we're going to talk about how this is Green Goblin, right? I mean,
wow.
Sleepwalker's wearing blue. I don't know if that's exactly the
blue
right
and purple.
Yeah, blue and purple, and he's got a green face. It's it's different. Okay,
is it really?
I mean, I can't.
It's those boots. It's the boots that differentiate. It's the boots. The thigh high boots.
Yeah, Green Goblin never wore thigh highs. Okay,
He wore underwear.
very true. Yeah.
Wow. Green Goblin is all about the ears. You know, it's the ears.
Yeah.
It's that hideous maniacal smile, and it's the glider. There's no glider. Sleepwalker needs no glider. He's good. You know.
Yeah, I think also Alex Chung's chiming in the chat, and he's saying, he thinks it was Marvel team up, but he does remember a Kirkman run. Also, for those keen-eyed viewers, if you were a Sleepwalker fan, he does have his costume has a minor cameo in Big Hero 6. I remember being in the theater, and like in the background of, I forget the character who's a fanboy whose father is Stan Lee. Inside that room of all those suits, amongst the other comic references, is a Sleepwalker outfit. And I'm like, oh, that's Sleepwalker's costume.
Wow.
Because I was born in the 80s, so my brain goes, yes.
I'm actually going to go over to Twitch because I wasn't on Twitch. You guys got to forgive me for that.
That's okay.
All good.
We're all working. This is the first time for all of us. Also, I do see that Jordan Goldman said that this particular set was his introduction as well. I'm glad that you're hopefully enjoying the stream, digging that.
Okay.
So yeah,
it's some feedback. Hold on, guys.
Oh. I'm gonna check some more chat. So while we're taking a moment,
there we go. Awesome.
Yeah, someone by the name of Casey is asking about another character. I mean, we'll get to that when we get to it. I mean, it might be next. It might be Gambit was right here. Like, there he is. So yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Epic
Gambit.
line. Kirkman did an epic during when Marvel brought back the epic line. They had Kirkman write the Sleepwalker mini.
Thank you, Vic. You are the man. You are all the titles that you said in the intro. Yep, I didn't get that kind of intro, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've got Gambit here. This is another one too, where it's like he was just introduced last year. So, I mean, I think he may have been a rookie in Series 2. I'm not sure about that. But here he is. Like he made definitely the A-list this time around. Remy LeBon, which is actually interesting. He's got a much longer last name on the back of the card, and I'm like, okay, that's definitely different. I remember seeing that in the card, and then seeing that he's just Remy LeBon. Actually, not even there's no "la" in there. Just
no, it's just Boudreaux.
Yeah, Boudreaux. Yeah. So I'm like, but I think that was his adopted father's last name, and yeah, we still have questions about his lineage. He's not. We've confirmed he's not the third Summers brother. That was definitely something going around at the time.
It was. Holy crap, Ken! You're like an encyclopedia. Like,
awesome. I've read way too many comics. Don't ask me about anything from school.
And if we decide to go with was it X-Men: The End? He ends up being Sinister's son or clone of Sinister.
Yeah, that I remember.
He also ends up being the person who ends up tipping off Bishop that, hey, there's a problem in the past. And he's like, well, you're still around, so it must be you. Looks like Marcus is in the chat on Twitch. Is this Lee Weeks? It is. There's a little LW right below his knee calf area here. I guess I'm using a mouse and you can't see that, but it does say LW. It is Lee Weeks. I did my best to research all of these. The interesting point is that some of these Lee Weeks signed as Weeks, and some he signed with just an LW. Paul Mounts did like the colors on every card, it seems. Like as much as I could research, Paul Mounts was just like knocking these out for colors on all of them.
Oh, for sure.
I tried to do as much research as I could as to which artist did what. There's a few that are like the signatures outside of the realm. We'll see that. You'll see an asterisk who I think it is, but I could be wrong. If chat has it, let me know and we will do what we can about fixing that in post. So yeah, I mean, Gambit was one of my favorites when he first popped up. Of course, he had a relationship with Storm, so that definitely endeared me to him. I'm like, oh, cool, he's helping out a young Storm as a thief. I thought that was cool. So definitely probably one of my top tier characters when I first got this card. I'm like, okay, he's going in my special binder right away.
Yeah, I was right there with you. I mean, I like when they did the X-Men Gold, X-Men Blue, I was all the way X-Men Blue. I mean, come on, you had Jim Lee doing the art there, and the team, like that's one of my favorite like lineups of X-Men of all time. I mean, Gambit was on that team, so of course I'm gonna like this guy. Him on a team with Cyclops, Wolverine, Psylocke, and Beast, like, it was perfect. It was awesome, and he filled, he filled the need for that team. So it was awesome. I totally a fan of his.
Yeah. Ray,
Yeah, I have very little to say about Gambit.
Okay.
No, seriously. No. I mean, honestly, like I was thinking about, I loved Gambit. I love that whole thing with Orphan Maker and Annie and all that with Storm and yeah.
Nice.
But yeah. Gambit's cool.
Yeah.
I feel like there was a lot of missteps with this character because he needed a little bit more I don't know, meat to him. He just seemed like a gimmick. Like once you start reading, oh man, this guy's cool, and he's a good fighter. He's got this interesting accent and all that, and then it's like, okay, well, that novelty's worn off. What else you got?
Yeah. There's definitely an argument. One of my friends, Thaden, I think he's in chat as well. He's always like, oh, he's another Wolverine. He's like, he's mysterious. And like eventually those mysteries come out and you're kind of like, okay, well, is the sum of the character what it's worth after this time? It's everyone's mileage may vary. So there you go.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry, Kareem. There's also Kareem Anderson in the chat. It's pretty upset. He says, leave Gambit alone. I think
I think that was directed towards me, but
yeah, I think on that note, we can definitely move forward to another mutant, Sam Gerthy.
Yes. Cannonball.
Yeah. And it's kind of fortuitous because right now we're looking at, and by the way, Ron Lim doing this, another artist who I think doesn't get his due at times of just like, he has put in so much time, and it's just like, dude, he's just nailed it out of the park constantly.
His
Silver Surfer.
Yeah, Silver Surfer. His Silver Surfer run. Like I have that whole run. It's so fluid. It's so beautiful. It's never broken. Like and it's funny because he the way he puts stuff out. And Ken, we've spoken about this. Is like he's like Mark Bagley. Like like the guy can punch out like comics fast, and the quality does not go down at all. So like his art stayed consistent for decades. Like it still looks good, still holds up. Like I love it. Like I wasn't a fan of this Cannonball costume, but I loved his art. Like I love Ron Lim's art. There's no doubting that. It's so perfect.
Yeah, I picked up books just for Ron Lim. Like, he was a go-to. I mean, even though a lot of people feel like he was like a steady Eddie type artist where, you can count on him and he's solid, maybe not considered a superstar, but in my book, Ron Lim's a freaking superstar.
For sure.
But yeah.
Kind of like, to me, he's kind of like he's to me, he's kind of like a RayAnthony Height. Like,
yeah. Wow. Got it.
Interesting too, because I mean, right now we've got Sam Gerthy he's in the new Mutants movie, so that's definitely something. If people are familiar with him, the same actors played from Stranger Things, he'll be there playing Sam Gerthy. So it's like I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed Cannonball more during New Mutants than X-Force, but that's because I would kind of enjoy New Mutants more than X-Force at the time.
Yeah, I don't know. He was just like a sidekick. I don't know if Cable was just, I don't know what Cable was doing to poor Sam. It was like, I'm grooming you to be a leader, but then I'm basically, knocking your sack in the dust. I don't know. Like he just took a lot of abuse from Cable, and maybe that's just the way that Cable does things. Maybe it is. But I agree with Ken, like in New Mutants. And what was he in after X-Force, where he was
he was X-Men. He was an X-Men. He
There you
graduated from X, like, and it's funny that you mentioned the way like Cable beat at him. Like it's like, well, Cable's that type. Like he's a soldier, and like he wanted to mold. He knew the potential that Sam had, so he molded Sam to be the leader he was meant to be. and eventually graduate. And he was eventually he becomes an awesome leader in certain instances where Cable was absent. He was just perfect. And then I remember that issue too. Was it Adam Polina that the graduation of Cannonball moving from X-Force to X-Men. Like, I love that issue a lot because it was just he deserved it. Like the guy worked hard and busted his ass to get to the X. Well, he didn't even know he was going to the X-Men, but he deserved where he was going, and it was awesome. So like,
did you see the badass he became? Like when it was like that Ramos Machalo run.
Yeah,
was just, wow.
So good. And then there was the one issue, my favorite issue of Uncanny X-Men, where he faces off against Gladiator from the Shi'ar Empire by Joe Mad. Like that cover where the two of them are like facing each other. Like,
that is the Sam I knew. Like
that. Yeah. Like you realize that, oh, this kid's a lot stronger than you expect. You know, he's it was awesome to see that and see his potential finally shown, this path that was created with New Mutants, and seeing Cable work him really hard to become what he's meant to be, and you finally see that in that Uncanny X-Men issue, and eventually the guy becomes an Avenger. So it's like this guy is has an awesome story, and
apparently they just confirmed that I think the Externals are trying to make a comeback. So everybody remembers that issue where Sam bites the bucket. He kicks the bucket, bites the dust in X-Force, and then he comes back alive because they find out
he's an external. Yeah,
he's an external.
With Gideon and all them.
Yeah, exactly. Where the hell is Gideon?
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I see in the chat, Ken, that they're talking about the way you say Guthrie.
Yeah, Marcus is over here. I think I just need to boot him in the chat. Yeah, I was saying Guthrie, but he's saying Guthrie.
No, you were saying Guthrie, and
was I?
Like,
he's calling me out. Okay, all right, I'll remember that.
This is fun.
We're a vengeful podcast. Just I have a list of grievances. I'm like a dwarf.
He's writing names.
Exactly.
Oh, I guess someone won't be appearing on the show next month.
He's writing IP addresses as well.
Oh my God. He's taking ass and kicking names.
There you go. All right.
He's all out of bubblegum.
Jumping from one X-Men to the next. Hank McCoy.
There you go, Ray.
That's it. That's my boy. That's it.
And this is one too where this is artist that I can say that I'm not that familiar with, and I wish I had better knowledge of. Javier Salazar. I hope that's his name. I'm saying it right.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was like all these cards are so like influential in knowing like, okay, who is this guy? What does he do? And it's like, no, he doesn't have any energy projection. They say mental power, so I'm guessing that's psychic attacks. Because it's like his intelligence is off the scale, but it's like mental power is just psychic power. I guess it's a stat for one power. I don't know.
I thought
because they don't have a zero.
Standard,
right?
yeah, they don't have a zero, so it's just the standard of like, oh, he's just a normal in that scale.
Yeah.
There's also, I love that it says X-Men Blue Strike Force, and I'm like, they had a blue. It was called blue. I just remember X-Men Gold and Blue, but the time they called Blue Strike Force and Gold Strike Force. I'd like to note for anyone in the chat, if they look at Victor Segura's card, in his frame, he has a blue X because he is part of the Blue Strike Force, and Ray has a red one. If you know what the red one means, hit it in chat.
Yeah, you'd be a total badass if you knew that.
And you'll get a bag of Skittles sent to you if I can.
Yeah, I'll do it. I will send the first person in chat, and I'm watching them now. If they let me know what the red means, you get some Skittles. All right.
Not a full bag. He just said some Skittles. He's going to open it.
I said a bag of Skittles. There doesn't have to be anything in there, so I can mail it in
like a Ziploc.
Yeah.
The bag the Skittles used to be in.
Yeah, exactly. It says Skittles.
It was a bag of Skittles. So there you
go.
Exactly.
And you know what? It could technically be a bag of Skittles.
Yeah.
You
don't know. Just find out. All right, and of course, hit us up at Comic Banter if you ever want to redeem that bag of Skittles. Joe, I'm sorry, that is not
No,
correct.
there was no X-Men Red Team. Sorry, bud.
Yeah, not until
Recently.
until recently. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
in 91, 92. That wasn't available. So yeah, I mean, the Bombastic Beast. I don't know what more needs to be said about Hank McCoy.
X-Men Blue. X-Men
yeah.
Blue, baby. X-Men Blue.
X-Men Blue. I don't know what, like, I told people a bunch of times. Do you know how many people do not remember that Beast used to be gray?
His first appearance. Yeah. When he when
Yeah.
he took the potion, I remember that.
Yep.
And during a lot of the Marvel team up runs, like I remember a fair amount of those covers, he's gray on it, and that's where I remember it.
Yeah, I think he was gray in Avengers too. So, just briefly.
Yeah, I think it was that wasn't it in that run where they finally decided to make him blue or something like that. Like I think it was during that run. But yeah, I totally remember that.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just great. And I love that they have incorporated that into his history, where all of these changes that are made to him are him trying to improve, I guess.
Yeah. Evolve.
So evolve. Yeah. And it's pretty awesome.
To Marcus in chat, I believe Ray did work on X-Men Blue, by the way.
I did, but not in 1992.
Yeah, but you did get to work with Hank McCoy on that. You got to play with that character a bit.
I did, a young Hank McCoy, and that was really cool. I actually worked with Christopher Daniels, aka Fallen Angel, on a small Beast story in the X-Men Christmas special.
Okay.
Okay. That's right.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And so
that.
anytime I get to draw Beast is awesome. But yeah, working with young Hank, that was great. I wish I could have done more. I was trying to draw Superb and X-Men Blue at the same time. And it is a great problem to have until you do it, because drawing 2 books is, man, splitting the baby in half, man. So yeah, I regretted that, but it was probably one of the best times and the worst of times.
All right. And so moving on, we go to another X character, Ron Lim's Quicksilver.
Yes.
And I mean, it's right off the bat, of course. I mean, it's a great, just like you see that speedster pose, you know what's going on. Like it's clear right away the motion that's in that image. Like it's just a dynamic pose. You see what's going on. Not everyone's favorite character sometimes, Quicksilver, but always helps to stir the pot. Gets a story going.
Especially during this time, I love that this character was on X Factor, and
that was my favorite.
The Peter David X Factor team, and I loved it because
Vic,
it's like
I love you.
I love you, Ray. Like we keep on hitting the same marks, but it's like he was each character on that team had their own unique personalities. Obviously, we led by Havoc, who was living in the shadow of his brother and trying to be his own character. But you also have this pompous, jerk on the team, Quicksilver, and totally butting heads with each individual character. So I as much as he's definitely one of those characters you love to hate. You couldn't help hating him, but you loved him there at the same time.
But when Pad broke it down, why? That was it. That was like, I mean, I don't know if kids are watching this, but it's like, dude, Pietro, why are you such a dick? And he just broke it down, it was this whole thing. And if you can find that X Factor, I highly recommend it. As a matter of fact, I read that whole passage to my wife, Shayla, and she's like, I totally get him. I totally get this dude. So, yeah.
By the way, for Eric Putman in chat, you are correct. The red X is for Excalibur. You, sir, you shall get a bag of Skittles.
Skittle bound.
There you go.
Taste the rainbow, Eric.
To Kareem's comment, is he aging faster? No, he just has white hair. His father had white hair, I think, from a pretty young age. And so did Quicksilver. That was just part of his. I think he was born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
You're right.
Oh wow, wow. I hate myself for making that same joke too. Yeah. I hate myself for saying that.
All right, and so next up we've got Weapon Omega by Tom Morgan.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, and it's like I'll be honest, I was not a big Alpha Flight guy. I knew Weapon Omega because of his Wild Child days,
Wild
Yeah.
Child.
and that's where I was familiar
Yeah.
with him from. Tom Morgan's another artist who I wish I had a better understanding of. I know he's worked on a variety of titles for Marvel. Yeah, I don't know if anybody has any experience with his books.
I
Yeah,
don't.
I've seen Tom
Oh,
Morgan a
do
few
you,
times.
Vic?
Yeah, like one or two comics in the past, but not someone I'm regularly following. But yeah, I'm totally familiar with this stuff.
Nice. All right, and let's see. Next up, Doctor Strange.
Nice.
And it's like this is definitely a time where it's got Sam Keith is the artist, and you have his time for his Doctor Strange had a period where all his art was very psychedelic, very trippy, very like everything is this astral plane, what's going on, and it was a different time. I think it lent itself to the title of the time, but I'm not sure how well that translated into other bringing on new readers. Like it was kind of a niche book at the time, I felt, and so
During
it's like
that time, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I enjoyed him more later on when he started branching out or any crossovers that he had, and that's when I would pick him up and check him out. But it was definitely an interesting time. There's times where I want to go back and check out some of the stuff, but we're constantly adding to our nerd queue. So
I remember like becoming a fan of Doctor Strange because there's a lot of crossover with like the horror comics. Like this is one of the only characters that outside of Moon Knight, obviously, that you would see regular involved. Like he had like one of my favorite Doctor Strange storylines was the one where he had that whole vampire storyline where they're trying to like get rid of all the vampires within the Marvel universe. And I just love reading that. That was just awesome because you pulled in all these mystical characters from all over the Marvel universe together to try and quell the vampire menaces and stuff like that. So I remember Blade was involved and all that stuff, and it was a fun read. And but you're totally right, Ken. Like it was definitely felt like outside of the other superhero stuff that Marvel was doing. So like I feel like even though I love that story, I loved it for what it was and where it fit. But I'm definitely more of a fan of when he was involved with like the Avengers or the Defenders for that matter. So that stuff
That's
is
where I come from too, Vic.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I go way back to the Steve Ditko run of Doctor Strange, where it was Dormammu and all that stuff. And it was definitely psychedelic in that way. But he was one of those characters where as soon as you knew he was going to be in a book, it's like, okay, things are going to get weird. And it was like with Dr. Druid and the Avengers. Yeah. And I was like, why couldn't they just get Strange? But I ended up really digging Dr. Druid because he was like the poor man Strange.
And he was like, he didn't care about it either. Like he was wearing just wearing a bathrobe essentially, and he just like, I know magic, here you go.
Yep. He's like, you can't get Strange, you can get me, or you can get nothing.
It's interesting too because for the new movie, it looks like they're going to pull from that horror aspect that Victor was talking about. Like they're going to do the multiverse of madness. That's a title we have. So it's like, is this the era they're going to be pulling from? I'm hope so, and I mean we can definitely get some good stories there.
There's a lot to pull from, and it kind of looks like the WandaVision series is kind of be like the stepping stone towards that. So it's going to be kind of cool to see because there's a lot there's so much from this era of Doctor Strange that they can pull from. But I wanted to say something like I have a love of Sam Keith art, and this was like. This wasn't my first introduction to. I think it was like his Marvel Comics Presents where he had Wolverine and Nightcrawler teaming up, and then seeing him do this series, like I love it. And then obviously he went to do the Max, and I love the Max from Image. That was just great. But like I loved his art during this series, and that's why I'm like I think out of all of the artists that are in this line, his was the one I was most obsessed with because it wasn't like any other artist in the series. Like his style definitely stood out from everyone else's in my mind. So it's great to see him do this.
Because he had that kind of like cool, creepy thing going.
Yeah.
And it was really, really great. I mean, I would set him next to Mark Texeira where.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, because it was like one of a cartoony version, and then it was like a hardcore version. You know,
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. It's perfect comparison.
it'd be nice if you know, Ghost Rider was the next one, and it would be Mark Texier.
You are right on that. I do not think that he is next, but now I closed a window and now I'm like double checking, like, how do I bring back my presenter view? Here we go. I think I've got it. There we go. So actually next up is Guardians of the Galaxy. So for all you Star-Lord fans out there and all your Rocket Raccoon fans, here is the Guardians of the Galaxy.
The leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Major victory.
Yep.
Vance Astro.
I'm going to, when I get my opportunity, I'm going to go on and on about this.
I
Do
think,
it,
I
Ray.
think your
Go.
opportunity's here.
Yeah,
Like, this is it. Jim Valentino.
You guys,
you
you missed out. If you didn't like pick up Guardians of the Galaxy, you missed out on some of the coolest future alternative stuff ever.
Ray,
I mean-
I'm right there with you. I mean, come on, you have a future Ghost Rider and a future Phoenix. Like, this is before 2099 was a thing. Like, this is my first introduction to a future version of these characters. I mean, essentially, Major Victory is like, that's our future version of Captain America. So
Exactly.
It's like I'm totally right there with you, Ray. It's so awesome that you said that.
And it was so cool because Major Victory, who is, you know, is Vance from. Does anybody know? I mean, I know you guys know.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll be quiet then.
I don't think
you guys know.
I don't think chat knows. Chat's like, who the hell is this? Sorry for cursing, everyone.
Oh, yes.
There it
The
is.
Warriors.
There you go.
So yeah,
Marvel
so
boy.
that Marvel boy, he grows up to be he's a Captain America stan. So, I mean, what else is he going to do in the future? so it's like, and then he wields the shield. First, it's broken, and then he wields the shield with his TK, right? So he's all kinds of badass with that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he stepped his game up, and he's a great leader and everything. But we get two versions of Wolverine, like, you know, from in Guardians of the Galaxy back then. Talon,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Who was basically kind of like if Nightcrawler and Wolverine had a baby, right?
They just like
And it-
merge those two together. Like this. There you go. That's your character right there.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, and there was Rancor.
I remember actually.
Rancor was Wolverine's granddaughter.
I think they're both in this set, which we could get to.
Yeah.
We're also, by the way, everyone on the stream, we are trying to keep track of time. I do know we're card number 10 right now. I'm gonna try and do it in sets of 9 so that we can kind of do 2 pages as we go. So keep that in mind. If we try and do another show, we'll just do the next couple sets, but we're just trying to keep that in order. Yeah, I mean, that's, of course, I mean, you guys said everything that needs to be said about Vance. I think I'm pretty good. Someone needs to hit up Wolverine for child support at this point. That's fair enough.
Oh yeah,
Shut up.
Yeah.
exactly.
You guys shut up. Leave him alone. All right? Leave him alone. He has things he needs to take care of. God.
Wow. He's trying to repopulate the earth.
Dude, like they just introduced his third daughter, I think, recently. So
Who I really like.
In Marvel Comics Presents.
yes,
Yep.
with an issue by RayAnthony Height.
Yes. I'm everywhere, man. Like I'm no Ron Lim, but I'm everywhere.
I mean, even Ron Lim. I think Ron Lim is 2 people. Like he's just
He's Ron and Lim.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
right. So next up is one that I actually had trouble naming the artist.
Really?
Yeah, Phoenix. I could not pull up anywhere on here. Actually, I realized too, I do have a little pointer option that I can try and like. There's a signature right here for the colorist Mounts, for Paul Mounts, the guy who's colored pretty much the entire set, but there's nowhere else in here that I can pull out and find a signature for.
So that was a guess, Paul Ryan?
Yeah, kind of like my best guess from looking at the art and seeing who worked on the set, who was out there at the time. He did do some other Phoenix work. I guessed Paul Ryan, so I put a question mark. Even if you Google some of the stuff, you can find some people who've gone into a lot of in-depth stuff. A fair amount of good information actually comes from Heritage Auctions, where this art has gone up, and they're like, "Oh, this is the inker, this is the artist, and this is all here." And I can't find I could not find this card to save my life. And I always want to give credit where credit's due, and I'm not sure who this is. My next step is to tweet at Paul Mounts and see if he remembers.
Dixon, thank you for that. The OG Guardians nod.
Original lineup, nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Phoenix piece, I'm really studying it, man, and I don't know.
Yeah. To answer, so Phoenix can harness the power at will. Yes, in this version, this is Rachel Summers, the daughter of Jean and Scott. This is from another alternate timeline where I think she just gets the power of the Phoenix, and at this point, she's been enslaved by, I want to say Ahab.
Yeah. Ahab.
And then, she comes back to the future. Has a good relationship with her brother Cable, Nathan Summers. Yeah. And I definitely remember this. This is during when she was in Excalibur with Kitty Pryde, and they had a good relationship. I like that they've brought that back several times throughout the years. Like, they get to team back up and have that friendship rekindled and stuff. So, yeah.
What about Days of Future Present?
Was Days of Future Present the
that
one
was with Franklin
Mark Silvestri?
Richards.
Yep.
Okay.
Vic, we gotta have drinks or something, man. We can ask Ken to come along, but
that was like, I remember that was the annuals that came out that linked together. Like when Marvel was doing like the number of annuals within a number of different comic book series, and they all made one story in the end. And I remember that was the one for that one, and I think that still had an Art Adams cover to that, right?
Art Adams did the artwork.
Oh, yeah, good. Thank you. All right, yeah.
Yep, he did the whole book. He was bookended. It was two
good.
issues.
So good.
Yeah, I think they were married at one point in the one on alternate.
You're right. Yeah. I remember that.
Just
from
think
Days of
about
Future
that kind of
Past.
power, the power their kid would have.
Oh my God! The two the strongest X-Men
They
have
create
one
the
kid.
Beyonder. Yeah.
Oh my God! So insane, so nuts.
Yeah. But that was the thing. They were trying to prevent that from happening.
Yeah. They're afraid of what was going to come if those two had a kid.
Yep.
So they weren't worried about Franklin Richards at all. They're just like, no.
Oh no, he was
no,
the problem.
He was the problem, but the problem was like you take a kid of the two strong, Fantastic Four characters who produce this strong mutant, and then you take this other strong mutant who is basically the daughter of the Phoenix, and those two decide to have a kid. Two strong mutants, like that's going to be a godlike mutant. So that's what the fear was coming from.
Gotcha.
So
exactly. They're both two mutant kids wielding cosmic power. One is a reality warper, right? And one is just sheer power.
Yeah.
Rebirth. Yeah, exactly. Oh, so good. God, I love you, Ray.
I love you too, Vic.
Next up, we've got Black Widow by Lee Weeks, which is another one where he signed it just the LW. It's really easy to spot.
During her pop the collar era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which they just recently put out a Marvel Legends for this figure with the jacket on. And I'm like, I love it. I got it. It's awesome. She got a
Is it the Avengers jacket?
Yeah, Avengers jacket with a jetpack on the back. It's fantastic.
Where everyone on the Avengers had matching members only jackets going on.
I love that era because
that was good.
Who did that? John Buscema. John Buscema.
Oh, that's
yeah.
And I always remember it was her and Black Knight that always wore the jackets. Like they were like, no, it's cold out there. Let's just wear jackets. We got to match.
Yeah, like you got us in these tight ass clothes. We got a jacket.
That's only one layer. We need something else to keep us warm.
Right. Exactly. It might be bulletproof, but the weather.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Black Widow. This was also the costume that Jim Lee did the Uncanny X-Men cover with her, Wolverine, and Captain America, and that stance. I'm just like, that's classic. That's always one that's locked in my head.
Coming from an artist point of view, it's the easiest thing to draw.
Yeah. Just like static poses.
Yeah, it's like you just draw a figure, and then you pop a collar, and put a spider emblem on it. You're done.
We got a couple of people that definitely fans of the jacket in the chat. How are her legs connected to her body? Just down there. I mean, Lee had to do a lot of cards. Okay, how many cards have you drawn, Andy? Like, give the man some time. Next up, I've got Hulk. I mean, it's funny because it's like I don't
Which
remember.
Hulk is it?
This is
Ah,
Professor
Yeah,
Hulk.
you know.
yeah,
Yep.
Professor
Yep.
Hulk.
Yep.
Yeah, Professor
So
Hulk.
I'm looking at it on Twitch, so the image is popping up slower.
A second later.
Yeah, so I kind of love that because it's a surprise to me.
So you've got, I mean, this is his time when he's with Pantheon, which at the time, this is again too, like we're going through these cards in order, but later on when we get the team sets, like Pantheon have their own card, and I'm like, who are the Pantheon? I mean, some of them were like that anyways, but like I should have known the Pantheon. I don't know why I was such a moron. Apparently, Cream in the chat thinks all Hulks matter, depending on which Hulk. Wow. All right. That's. These are the jokes, folks.
Well done, sir. Well done.
So yeah, I mean, this is after he's brought in the intellect of Bruce Banner, but it's a new personality. It's Professor Hulk. It's neither Banner nor the original Hulk. It's a merged personality.
They'll never do something like that anywhere else in any other media for Marvel. So it's really cool that we got to see it there.
Yeah, that won't happen again. I mean, I do love what's going on with Immortal Hulk, but Professor Hulk, I don't think they'll ever do that again. Also, he is someone else who probably needs to stop having children.
Yeah. There are a lot of, I mean, in just one reality, you've got, I think, 3, and then you also have like the Old Man Logan timeline. And
Yep.
that one's a whole another problem.
I don't want to.
Let's not go there.
Let's not touch that one.
Yeah.
I love that story, but let's not touch that one.
Yeah.
No.
That is.
This is a kid show, Ken.
I was going to say Comic Banter After Dark.
Yeah, fair enough.
What that one is.
Fair enough. So I mean, the Hulk, Smart Hulk. What more has he said? He's awesome. Kirk Javinian. I'm not familiar with him, but he's also another artist where it's like I definitely need to give some more time to and look at some of his work.
I remember didn't he do a lot on the series too? Like he was really involved in the series, wasn't he? This card series. He
was. He's got a couple. He's got several different things on here, and I think since it's Pantheon, I'm guessing this is during the Peter David run, and I think he did some time on there as well.
Okay.
And to Andy in chat, there's no Gray Hulk in this set.
We could all look this stuff up while we're on here.
Yeah. That's true. We really could. Or we could have Marcus tell us. Marcus.
You mean Joe Fixit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, come on, put you guys to work over there in the chat. Eric, Kareem, Dixon.
Next up is Sunfire by Dave Johnson. And I'm
Armored Error.
Yeah. This is one too where it says Johnson on the card. And so I'm like, I wasn't sure who it was. He's not listed in some of the places I could find.
No, that's not Dave Johnson. That's Jeff Johnson.
Is it Jeff Johnson? Okay. Yep. See, this is where like I tried to do the best research I could. One of the sites I found said this was Dave Johnson. So
yeah, I could be wrong, but it totally looks like Jeff Johnson.
I'm leaning more towards Ray on that one. It definitely does. It doesn't look like a Dave Johnson. Dave Johnson is very, very unique. Yeah, it doesn't look like his at all. Like I think Ray. I think
we skipped to Let's go back. We're not ready for a Silver Surfer yet.
I did. I already moved back. But yeah, no, Dave Johnson has much heavier lines. I love his stuff too. It's a different artist, but I was just like what I could pull from the internet. And also Johnson's a fairly common name, so it's like the internet gave me what it wanted to. It's interesting because
you got me here, Ken. You got me here for this.
Let's see. I was hoping you or someone in chat. Like we still didn't get an answer on Phoenix with Paul Ryan. That's like no one in chat said, "Hey, this is who it is." So I'm waiting on you guys. You gotta step it up a bit.
Do you guys know who designed this particular armored costume?
I don't. I would love to hear it.
Will Spertasio, I'm pretty sure.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I was looking at some of the issues and stuff, trying to find out the artist, and he was one of the artists on one of the issues, but he was not the same artist that I could find, named Johnson. And definitely, I think he's not in this set, but there's definitely a few other appearances by Wilson, some of the other card sets.
Yeah, Terry Austin inked it, just so you guys know, this particular piece.
Okay, so actually, all these pieces, like, there's a bunch that are inked by Terry Austin, and like, I appreciate that a lot of them have all of them in there. Like, Austin has his signature in there, and Mounts is in there each time. Like, just some of them, the way they cut the border from behind them, it just cuts it out sometimes.
I just want to point out, pick up Wonder Man, the Wonder Man series with Terry Austin and Jeff Johnson on
Nice.
art. I can never remember who wrote the book. I'm sorry to the writer, and it's probably somebody I know and love. But yeah.
Was that also the one where the first issue came with a movie poster?
Yep.
Oh God, that's so
Because
beautiful. I love
they
that.
just embrace everything that
Yes.
Simon was. So yeah, he's
So
one of my
good.
favorites.
Yeah, nice.
I know
This is-
we're looking at Sunfire and we're talking about. Sorry.
Segue.
I'm so sorry.
he's in here some point. Sunfire, yeah, definitely not an interesting take. It's very 90s design too.
Yeah, super nice.
Very much, and I don't think I was even a fan of it then. I was kind of happy that they went, like, they've done it both ways, that they went with the classic look of Sunfire. They reverted back to the classic look, and they, in some instances, they've even used his Age of Apocalypse appearance. But yeah, this one, I mean, it doesn't feel like Sunfire. Nothing from the outfits screams Sunfire, so it felt pointless to me. Like like his original outfit. I was so happy that they went back to that, because that is exemplified his love and honor for his country. So it's just perfect that they went back to that one, and it fit perfectly.
What was the first time you guys saw Sunfire?
It was Giant Size X-Men for me. I mean, but it wasn't. But it wasn't in time because I wasn't collecting at the time. But later on, when I go back and look at old issues, like, okay, well, who's this character? And someone's like, oh, well, you have to check this out. Like, okay, cool. And I read that. That was my kind of first introduction.
So first of all, who is Critter Paladin?
That's Marcus Harris, I believe. He can verify in chat.
Oh, okay. So Marcus is the same as me. Spider-Man is Amazing Friends.
Nice.
Yeah, when he was him and Firestar had the literal hots for each other.
Oh, okay.
That was super cool.
I've seen hots. Yeah.
And then I said super cool. You see what I did there?
Yeah.
Yep. Pulled it off right there. Up and down.
Yep. That's what Bobby was trying to do. Not my house.
Comic Banter After Dark. So I flipped over here earlier. We actually kind of buried the lead when we first started talking about this artist earlier, but Ron Lim on Silver Surfer. Like, I mean, we said so much. And I mean, this is, like we said, a key era for Silver Surfer.
Damn.
You've got, like, this is when he's fighting Thanos. This is like right into Infinity Gauntlet. Like, it is. I'm sorry, no, Infinity War.
Infinity War.
Yeah. And I'm like, this is great. This is when I think of Silver Surfer, he's my definitive Silver Surfer artist.
Yep.
Totally agree.
Well, yeah. You know what? I'd be lying if I said it was Buscema. Buscema was the best Silver Surfer artist in my opinion, but this was the era where I was like, holy crap, I think I love Silver Surfer.
Yeah. And I always remember, because I think it's number 50. It has like 3 versions. You've got like the chrome cover with Thanos on there. You have a regular art cover, and then there's like a gold version too, because it was the 90s. So you had several different chromium embossed covers. So you had to have 80 of those.
Well, yeah, but if you collect them all, you get the Teflon cover, and then
there you go.
Yeah.
No, yes, his name was Rad, and he
was a surfer. Yeah, good one.
Yep.
Went for it. Yeah, no, Romlin just did so much for this character. Like it is, to me, it's like a lot of his designs are iconic, still stand out today, and God, I still love his art.
Yeah. Anytime he crossed paths with Adam Warlock, who was another favorite of mine, it was just like, oh God, I've read that comic till the pages fell out.
It's a good run. That's like it's Adam Warlock. I know there's definitely a fan of. I was about to say there's a fan of him in the chat, but actually I think he's not. He left the chat a little bit ago. But yeah, Adam Warlock has a ton of time work too. Like, that's again my seminal artist for that person. Like, if I think of that artist, or I think of that person, that character, it's them.
Yeah. someone just posted that his mental powers is 1, and I thought, wait a minute, didn't he have cosmic awareness?
Maybe this is after he's been bound to the earth, right? Oh no, I mean no, because this is when he's this is when he's out on his own. Yeah, so
fail.
Yeah.
Marvel fail.
It was
actually.
Yeah.
Glasses lower and then push him up.
There you go.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's one of the downfalls of this series. Like having like going into this series, like this is our source of truth, but it sucks as you grow older and become a stronger comic fan and read more, you kind of realize like, oh yeah, they were wrong. Oh, they totally got this area wrong. They totally had this power set wrong. Like you were saying with Spider-Man.
They had an intern do this, man.
Yeah, they phoned it in basically.
Right.
So yeah, there's a lot of areas where like, really, like they needed it. They should have gave this like a second like run around and had this verified first. But
I'll definitely back the fact that his fighting ability is a 2, because anybody with that level of power never has to actually fight.
It's all from a distance. Yeah. Or like Doctor Strange sends a cape, he sends the board.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. I think Alex Chung is saying, like, didn't Tom Brevoort write these? What does he know? I'm like, fair enough. Tom, if you want to yell at Alex, it's at Alex Chung.
You know what? He also had interns. I don't know if you truly did, but Alex, I don't know. You got to talk to Tom and see what's going on here.
I think we're going to see at the next con, see those two have a throwdown and see what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
At the next con, virtual.
Yeah. And then we, of course, hit She-Hulk, which the first thing off the top of my head is that late 80s, 90s hair that is just so big.
The aerobics outfit.
Yeah.
What was it? Jamie Lee Curtis in 10. You know what I mean? Like it's.
Oh, yeah.
What's going on there? I don't know. I mean, people can say what they want about Byrne, but his run on She-Hulk was epic.
Yeah. It's really good. It's
and
funny. A lot of people talk about how like, oh, Deadpool's so cool because he breaks the fourth wall. It's like she was doing that.
She was already
decades
doing
ago. Like she was like
the cover. She was doing it.
Yeah. Like it's they talk about doing the Netflix. No, it wasn't a Netflix. Just a Marvel series with her. I'm on board. I like the character. I'd be happy to see more. Definitely, it's a very dynamic, or it's a very interesting pose by Mark Silvestri. He's known for Witchblade, Darkness, like so many different things.
I know what you're saying, Ken.
I'm just saying, like it's you hire Mike Silvestri to draw a comic, you're gonna get what you're gonna get. Like
80s X-Men,
yeah. And I love Mark's work. Like he's okay. True enough, he draws a very provocative female figure, but his storytelling ability, like his entire Wolverine run, he was kind of showing off. Like
yes,
it was gorgeous.
Yes,
and he could pretty much draw anything he wanted. Like I love all the Image guys and their talent, but I want to say Mark might have been the most artistically skillful, and then Jim is next.
Jumping forward, we've got Captain Britain.
Another favorite.
Yeah, another one by Javier. Captain Britain, my friend Clay is always one of my friends who I think of Captain Britain, I think of him. He's always like, oh, you've got to read this, what's his name? Alan, God, my brain's shutting down.
Davis.
Alan Davis, thank you.
Don't you dare forget Alan Davis.
I was my hand was starting to shake.
It's 2020, okay, guys. I've made it through July.
I'm sorry, you cannot know Captain Britain without knowing Alan Davis. Like that guy.
I was like, is Ken having a stroke? Like, what's going on?
Yeah. I'm just gonna slowly drift aside. This is during the Excalibur run. I think since this is 92, did we have like the full team with like Pete Wisdom, Excalibur? No, so it was just like wasn't until like later. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. There were a lot. I'm remembering the team card from this series. There were quite a bit of members on the team.
There were,
but I don't think Pete Wisdom was one of them. Well, not
at
yet.
Least not
anyways.
yet.
Yeah.
Right. Not yet. It was close because by that time they had
Widget,
Kylon, Widget, Cerise. Who else? Do they have Micromax then?
I think if not, then it was pretty close.
Yeah,
I want to say they might have had him
in
at that time.
'92. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the cross time caper, and that was like, what do you want to say?
Oh.
90.
Good pull. Yes.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's why I have the Red X, because Excalibur is my joint, man. So I don't know everything, so don't try to test me. Don't test me, people.
But at the same time, we're pulling on decades upon decades of comic history in our minds.
It's true. It's very, very true. So, and I think that Captain Britain, particularly this costume, is one of the most iconic costumes in comics. It just pops, you know.
Yeah.
Just period. I mean,
although not his. I mean, this is his second costume. That first one was that Lionheart design.
The red.
It was great.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. He's had killer costumes.
Yeah.
But even the redesign from this one.
I'm probably with you, Ray. Like I love this one probably the most, and every time they redesigned it, I loved it only if they redesigned this version of the costume.
Yes.
Like when they
Exactly.
deviated, when was it like a few years later when he was like, when he just became like Britain or Britanniac or something like that.
Yeah.
That I wasn't a fan of that. Like that like the all red costume, I wasn't like a fan of, but like
I did not like it at all.
Yeah. But like when they had like the new Excalibur and they had like an updated version of this
Michael
costume,
Ryan.
So it was so perfect. Like every time they they keep the core elements of this costume in there. Like I loved it. It's perfect.
Yeah, that new Excalibur run was mentioned in chat by Rad Newt. He said, like, yeah, that's Michael Ryan. They did a great run. They had Nocturne in there, the daughter of Nightcrawler,
Excalibur, and Scarlet Witch. Yeah.
Yes,
that was a great run.
Juggernaut was on the team. Yeah,
Juggernaut was on the team.
Dazzler.
Yeah.
Do you remember that cover where Juggernaut just walks over Brian and he's like in a hole in the ground?
I think so. Yeah.
I love
that was good.
I'm trying to remember. It sounds familiar.
I want to say that's one of the Excalibur covers.
Next up, we have Just Cage by Dwayne Turner.
This was his era at that time, the Just Cage period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can tell it's 90 by the shoulder pads. That's kind of clear there. It's just this very, like, no tiara, no bracelets.
The belt is like an homage to.
Yeah, they bring it down.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like he's about to go on tour with the Pointer Sisters and MC Hammer. I mean,
he's opening for MC Hammer.
He's doing like ripping phone books in half, like the Power. You know?
Yeah, and it's like it's interesting because like he's gone back and forth between Power Man and Cage, Luke Cage, and like this era was just like, no, this was that time. I'm like, all right, I don't know, it's something I when they did the Max series, I thought for some reason when it was named just Cage, I'm like, oh, is this what we're going back to? It's like, no, we're going very different with that Cage series. It's
just title alone.
Yeah.
I did love the Heroes for Hire run though. That was really, really cool. When they had the other version of White Tiger and
the female version of White Tiger and the crossover with Quicksilver at the end and
and the whole High Evolutionary thing, and it was really cool.
He had his little Luke had his relationship with She-Hulk at the time, and
exactly.
Yeah, that was a good run. I love that run.
Yeah.
Black Knight was on the team at that time too.
He was, yeah.
Oh, that's right. And this is before was it Humbug? This is, yeah. Oh, I'm mixing up different eras. You're thinking. I'm trying to think who the other artist was. Yeah, this is the one that popped in my head is much later. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then we've got Domino, another one by Brett Blevins. I mean, this is again kind of like really early in her run. Could have been a rookie card in the last one. It's a good card and art, but I'm a little thrown off because it's like you can't see her face. Like like her arm should be down just a bit.
And I was gonna say that's I'm sorry, Brett. That's a bad pose for this type of card. If it was like a shot from inside, a book and there was some action going on, totally, because the action matters, not that part. But if this is a pinup, you got to see the face.
Exactly. Totally with
Yeah.
you, Ray.
Yeah,
And that's something that I love about these cards, and that's something I have a problem with some of the later eras, is that for a while there, they just repurposed art from the issues or from covers, and this at least was all original art. Every piece was done specifically for these sets, and I love that. I love that they made it just for the set, and that was always really cool to me. Original art every time. I definitely have it's Kareem saying he loves Domino. It's a bad post for someone shooting that gun. Fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Definitely.
definitely.
Got
I
it,
like
dude.
how her pinky's out too. Like,
well, you know,
because she's fancy
like,
shooting.
like
That's why.
like that.
Yeah,
It's fancy shooting.
fancy.
One thing too,
gotta
though,
shoot proper.
yeah.
Exactly.
With the one thing too, like that I like about this set is you have these geometric shapes as the backgrounds, and this one does a good job of like drawing it into the character. And so it's like it is that the sights of a gun, and it works for the character. And I see that nowadays in some commissions. Like I know Ray's done it. I know Todd Knock does it. Like, oh, let me do a shape, and they kind of draw that in, and it helps like bring your eye to a specific spots. It works well.
Like her inner thigh, which is a bullseye, right? So
yeah,
because that's where the target is.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just indicative of Brett Blevins stuff, is because let me tell you, this guy's skills are incredible. I mean, look at his anatomy; it's fantastic, and he's putting that on display. I would have brought it up. I would have changed some things on this one. I'm not sure what was going on here. Maybe it's just one of those situations where it's like it needed to be done yesterday. I don't know.
Yeah,
but if this is his version of something fast, it's still better than anything I could do.
Fair enough. Better than the cards I've done. So there you go. Next up, we've got the Man Without Fear, Daredevil. So, I mean, this is the character who's, been around for years. I love too, because it's like my introduction to a lot of his rogues gallery was through the Spider-Man cartoon. And so Kingpin in my head was like, when I first saw him, I'm like, oh, he's a Spider-Man villain. And then as over time, like, oh, he just kind of merged over and like Daredevil took over. It's like, no, I've got him taken care of now. And so when you're first learning about these characters, I'm like, oh, wait, okay, so he fights the Kingpin too? All right, I guess that's cool too. I'm glad that there's that connection there, but it was definitely a character who the suit that I have that I like the most, or I have the most connection to, is actually the Scott McDaniel black and red and armored version, which they just did a toy for, and that's probably one of my favorites.
It's actually a pretty cool suit.
Yeah. It is.
That apparently Marcus doesn't agree with, but that's
no. Kareem, I would guess no. Domino doesn't need a sight for a gun.
But she got the gun like on sale, so it came with a sight, so that's why it was stuck on there.
It's a Walmart gun. They don't check ID.
I'm a little surprised by, again, some of the stats we're looking at here. Like he's got a fighting ability of just 4, and
I saw that.
Very low.
As a kid, I saw that and I was like, "This is BS."
And it's like fighting ability. Like if you're okay, maybe this is a rating that if he isn't in a hallway, like okay, if he's not in a hallway, he's not gonna. It's fine, but just stay out of hallways and you're fine. He can't work in open spaces. In a park, you could take him.
No, here I am thinking in the Marvel offices is like he's fighting the Kingpin. He's fit. He's doing all this exercise. He can't be a fat guy. Like what's going on here? Yeah. He's got to be a 4.
Yeah.
He can't fight in the rain or on a windy day.
Right. Exactly.
Oh, good pull.
And we've got Morbius by Ron Wagner. This is one too where it's like I did a little searching because it's like it's very interesting. There's a spot right here. I've got the pointer going for those watching the stream.
That's beautiful.
Right there, it's just tucked away, and it's like okay, there's Morbius, and it's by Wagner. For a second, I'm like, I thought it was Matt Wagner, but like no, that's not right. But it's Ron to the best of my abilities because he actually did work on the Morbius series for a while. Of course, we're getting ready. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Midnight Suns era.
I was just gonna say,
yeah.
Now that is a nice pose.
Yeah. And like coming up at the top of the building, right at you, like even that little bit of that little window just adds more to it. Like
Yep.
it adds to the story of the art. My first introduction to is again the Spider-Man cartoon from the 90s. So it's like they had a whole long run for Morbius. We're gonna see him in the movie soon. That'll be interesting to see what they do with
It looked
character.
good. The
Yeah.
little stuff I saw it looked really
Yeah.
good.
So yeah, Morbius. I don't know if there's anybody else who's got anything to say about Morbius. I mean, he's been around forever. I don't know if anybody's like top tier, but apparently somebody thinks that Lobo is better than Morbius. I mean, I can't disagree with you.
They're
I was
talking
gonna
about
say,
they're
yeah.
talking about the new 52 Lobo though.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
So
I guess I
sad.
can. Okay, I can see that. Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Next up is, I guess, of course, gonna be a favorite, Nightcrawler.
Yes,
Keith.
Sam Keith. Woo! This is
definitely
the
one-
card.
Yeah, this is one too. Like where
That
like
is the one.
Nightcrawler is just he's this elf, like this ethereal elf, and again they get Sam Keith to do it, and here he is. He's this kind of like, I don't know. He's awesome. He's always one of my favorite characters. I always think of him and Colossus and Wolverine hanging out, drinking beers,
Yep.
and just kicking back.
That's these.
This was the card. This was the card that definitely like stood out for me in the whole series. Considering like you guys know who I'm a fan of, like no, this was the card that stood out for me because this is what like got me onto Sam Keith. It was totally mirrored his run on Marvel Superheroes Presents. It's perfect. Marvel Comics Presents. God, I love this card. Love this card so much.
I don't understand why he's got only a 2 on speed. The dude he's physically fast, which at least give him a 3, because he's just as fast as Spider-Man. But he can teleport too. Like I said, an intern did this.
Yeah. They just like, we got to finish those cards up. Can you get David on that? Sure, thanks. Let's go take
Yeah, right. Exactly. And David's sitting there like, I'll give these guys whatever I want. They're not even paying me.
Yeah, exactly. Nightcrawler? What? No, okay, yeah. He looks slow. He's gonna be a 2.
Right, exactly. I mean, he's crawling. It's in the name.
Yeah.
He's not even walking.
And this is too, like, I think about it, like, it's definitely an interesting design by Sam Keith, but my thing always thinks of the swashbuckling. It's like there's nothing but speed in that, just the movement and the fluidity of swashbuckling pirate Nightcrawler.
Yep.
Marcus wants to question whether he's as fast as Spider-Man. I remember Kurt dodging bullets. Well, you know what?
I remember their fight, their first meeting, and Spidey was like, "Yeah, this dude's fast. He's as fast as I am."
On that swashbuckling note, Kareem's asking, how is he a better fighter than Daredevil? And I'm like, well, he can teleport behind you and just punch you in the back of the head. So, I mean, maybe that's what the rating's for.
Because this is a cheap fighter that makes him a better fighter.
Well, you know, he does have that prehensile tail, so it's like, I can't see, and then this guy's got an extra limb. So,
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to give it to that. Kareem says that's not fighting. I'm like, I agree to disagree.
It depends on who's losing.
Yeah.
right.
And then we have The King of Wakanda, Black Panther by Dwayne Turner, which it's something I noted when I'm going through the sets. So far, Dwayne Turner has done 2 cards. It was Cage and Black Panther. And I'm like,
That's a nice pose.
That's
well, yeah, let's talk about that. You want to crack that open, Ken?
I mean, are we ready to crack that open into the, like, I mean, we can definitely crack that nut.
Was Bishop in this series as well?
Bishop is in the series, and now I'm curious if he's also drawn by Dwayne Turner.
You know what? I'm not going to get into it. I want to real bad, but I
think we're acknowledging it, and I think everyone can kind of get the inference there. If not, maybe
we'll see.
Take a look outside. Yeah,
Marcus is right. Kurt can fight with 3 swords. Again, you know, Daredevil's going to have a little trouble.
Yeah, especially if it's in the rain.
I was just going to say that.
Or it's windy.
Yeah,
or it's right.
All right. I mean, but onto the point of Black Panther. This run at this time, I wasn't as deep into the Avengers, so I wasn't reading it. I caught up with Black Panther a little bit more later on during the Marvel Knights era, which for a time wasn't even him. So like it's my Black Panther. I got exposed to him later on. I knew of the character, I knew of his history, but I hadn't gone deep on it.
Yeah, was the Marvel Knights era Casper Cole?
Yeah,
I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
Cujo
of course
Prime
the
is
stats-
asking.
So I'm looking at the stats here,
The stats
and I'm
are
trying to.
ridiculous.
Oh, what's that?
I don't
Yeah.
agree with the stats.
Yeah.
They're not right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Let me tell you this.
he's on par with Nightcrawler.
As far as
fighting,
terribleness?
yeah, which is like I'm like, no, the intelligence is up there, which is good, but the fighting is he's above. He's at night. Like really?
Thank you,
The
Kareem.
speed as well.
too.
Yeah. No.
Right. So if his stats aren't at least exactly like Cap's,
Right.
and I mean at least,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, his intelligence clearly is going to be greater. And then I'm thinking if his intelligence isn't at the level of, let's say, Stark or Pym, right? If they got a 6 or a 7,
It's bull.
it's bull.
Yeah. It's bull.
Agreed.
Anyway, aside from the pose, this is kind of hard. So
Yeah.
this is great.
Yeah. So let's see. Intelligence. It's jumping over
Damn,
to.
intern. Yes.
Got Scott Lang
The
here.
Man. Okay.
Paul
Okay.
Ryan did the art on this one. And this is again Paul Ryan, another just kind of workhorse of just he did a bunch of different titles. I remember him, I think, from Fantastic Four, or maybe I'm mixing up with Tom Lyle, but yeah, that's his stuff's pretty standard.
What in all hell? Mental Powers 3?
Because he can talk to ants.
Not on his own.
You know what? I'm not the intern who wrote this. I'm just the guy who bought the cards and brought them to you to look at.
There's an asterisk next to his mental powers.
Yeah. It includes the tech, according to Marcus. Maybe Marcus was the one who wrote this. Maybe we need to bring him on the next one and hold him accountable for all his calls of like why Scott Lang has the mental powers of 3. Paul Rudd is great. I love Paul Rudd, but I don't know about this.
Silver
stat.
Surfer has a mental power of what? 1, 2?
Yeah,
And Scott Lang has mental powers of 3. You got to be kidding me, man.
Cream's asking in which form. I don't think it matters what height or anything he shifts to. It should still be a 1.
It's like the Hulk. The madder he gets, the stronger he gets. Ant-Man, the smaller he gets, the more mental power he gets.
Mental powers
Marcus,
he has.
Neither can Scott. He can't talk to ants. Okay, it's like Tony Stark shoots repulsor rays from his hands without the armor.
Yeah, I mean it's, but I do love that it's like in the background you have Paul Ryan through like there's an electrical out socket, although that's a giant bug if that's the electrical socket. Although I guess it's perspective, and then there's I like that he at least
the ant should be smaller.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know what's going on there, but I do appreciate that it's all there. Like he put a time into this card, and I gotta love that.
He did. I mean, the art's great. I like the art. I mean, he's even got down to the number 2 in the details of the eraser end, the number 2 pencil.
Yeah,
and that's pretty dope. But yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. I'm done cracking on this dude.
Yeah. Is that what's on the helmet? A speaker to speak to ants? Yes, that is what that's for.
Yes, because he can't without it.
And you saw that in Endgame, didn't we? They had a version of it in Endgame when they went to the past. Do you guys remember that? Yeah.
I mean, even when he was training in the first movie, he couldn't even control the damn ants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they have to be I don't know. This is again, the intern was just like whatever. But we mentioned him earlier, Mark Texieri on Ghost Rider.
It happened because that's what I know, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And you're
on it.
This is Danny Ketch. This is my Ghost Rider. This is the one that I started with.
Exactly. Me too. Well,
I love the bike. I love that the front end of that bike, like it's so
That's a picture. Like that's an image.
Yeah.
that is
It's
just
like he's gonna run over my face. You know.
I remember the jokes like, what happens if he hits a puddle? But you know what? He is. I think
Fire
he's
is not
coming
the
after
same as regular fire.
Yeah,
it's called steam.
Boom.
but even the caption box of headshot is great. Like the details on the skull are phenomenal there.
Pop collar, everything on that.
Yeah, Marcus,
headshot.
this picture boils. It's hot. It's hot.
You make Cage cry. I don't know why we're making Cage cry. So yeah, this is. I mean, I don't know what to say about this art. It's just one of the best ones. It's ingrained in your mind from that point. Like that's so good. It
took to 25 though to get to it, but damn it, it was worth it.
I'd like to note. Wait, I have to go back. Okay. So mental power is a 3. He has a penance stare.
Right.
And he is a 2 for mental power.
Right.
What drunk child?
This whole series.
God, that is mind-boggling that they're like, no, his mental powers are 2, but Scott Lang over here with, which I mean, I get that it has to be with the tech, but that is, come on, that penance stares, that's burrowing into your soul, and like everything you've done is thrown back at you. Oh,
I love how it's hold on, guys. Energy projection is a 1.
Yeah.
Because he can't talk to ants.
Yeah.
That's a scale. Can you talk to ants? Then you're 2. If not, you're a 1.
I think, you know what? I think that we should go back and see that probably the intern's name is now Scott, because he's like, his name's Scott Lang. Okay, cool.
Right.
He's getting extras. He's adding stuff on there. He's like, I love guys named Scott. This is cool.
Great with the ladies too.
Yeah.
Guy's named Scott.
Wait till we get to Cyclops. He has.
I was just gonna say.
He has a mental power of like 7. Like that's how good he is.
Marcus, not only can he make ants feel guilty, he can make the queen feel guilty that she even has drones.
Boom.
Kareem saying if the bike counts, he should be faster than that. Fair enough. Yeah. If he's
right.
If
Nightcrawler got a 3 on speed.
If the helmet counted for Scott, then yeah, the bike should definitely count for Danny.
Yeah. So then his speed should be even faster. It should be at least a 5.
Scott is a powerful name. That is true, Scott. That is a powerful name. Scott Woodall, thank you for stopping into the chat today.
and he's back out. That's all you want to say.
Yeah, he's like, peace out. I'll be back for Cyclops.
Mic drop.
Oh, Dixon. It's like Nicolas Cage is who I think he was talking about.
Gotcha. So I mean, yeah, great card. And next up, Darkhawk.
Ooh, another 90s icon.
Yeah. I need to say up front that a friend of mine, Clay, let me borrow the entire Darkhawk run, and I still need to return it to him. You are a great friend, and I'm sorry. I do intend to get that back to you. I'm putting out here publicly that is the intention.
Is this
don't
like,
know when that happened.
Is this like Dark Riders and my Spider-Man video game for Xbox?
You know, I don't. This is neither the time nor the place. But yes, it is exactly like that. Yes. So yeah, Darkhawk.
Opening up fresh wounds, man.
Yeah, I really love this run. Mike Manley doing the art, which I think he did. He worked on the Darkhawk series.
Yeah, I think the original.
Yeah, I really like it. It's kind of it's one of those things where it's like definitely due to time. Like later on, they said that the art, this entire arc was just not what happened. Like they just wrote it out of continuity. That the entire run of his standalone series was. I don't mean to spoil it for anyone, but like it was a dream. It was like a psychic breakdown, a mental breakdown that he was projecting certain things, and I'm like. I like what they eventually got to with stuff during like the War of Kings and the Realm of Kings, but I don't think it was necessary to be like, yeah, none of your stories mattered. Like, really? Like, probably my favorite story for him though is when the Loner series.
Yes, the spin-off from Runaways. Yeah.
Yep. That was probably my favorite storyline with him in it.
And
Oh,
he was. Oh, go ahead. What's up,
oh,
Ken?
I was also going to say Kirkman did a story called The League of Losers
I was
in the
okay.
Marvel.
That was
Oh,
such a good one.
nice.
Okay, so I already love Kirkman's work, but that particular storyline, League of Losers, was just great. I will say this: anybody who knows anything about Darkhawk knows that he's not using the full potential of that Darkhawk amulet at all. Like it's like he's scratching the surface of it.
Yeah. And they've definitely, it's interesting because they've brought it, especially with all as they've moved Guardians of the Galaxy out more and more ever since Annihilation, they've developed the character more and taken steps forward. But it's also like he's always in the periphery and doesn't get to shine. Like he's always like a side story of like, oh well, the Talons are doing this. I'm like, well, can we get our guy Chris in there? Can we do anything with him?
Yep.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah,
He's hanging out with the losers.
Yeah, Rex in on Facebook is saying how it's horrible. He loved Darkhawk. War of Kings and Realms was awesome. I agree. I love that they moved that stuff out there and gave him a chance to have his own story. But I think they need to get back to him some more. I think there was a recent storyline that he got to play in the cosmic space again, but it's few and far between.
Yeah,
definitely agree.
Well, he was in what was it? Avengers Academy. And then
he was the not underground, the one between Academy and Underground.
Yeah, whatever the one where
Arena
Arcade's Arena,
Avengers Arena. He was in that,
yeah.
And I like the tongue-in-cheek stuff where he's kind of like questioning, like, why am I here? I'm older than everyone else.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, I definitely remember him from that run.
Darkhawk is like Moonlight's crazy little brother who cheats during games, but making up his own rules in the middle.
Yeah,
I mean,
actually,
yeah, fair enough. And then we get to Iceman, Bobby Drake. And definitely probably my first introduction is Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. That cartoon was the cornerstone of my fandom. Like, I love Bobby Drake. I love Firestar, all of these characters because of their connection to Spider-Man for me initially. And then for years after, I love the, I'm just going to shoot the ground and make a pillar of ice and then blast out of it. And that's how you turn into Iceman. Visually, you have to do that. They did that in some of the Capcom video games as well.
Yeah,
the arcade.
X-Men, Children of the Atom. Every other fighting game that they put Iceman in, they use that same motif. That's cool.
Yeah. Jumping back to Darkhawk, Optimus Dixon is saying that Darkhawk is like the greatest American hero or Blue Beetle, the Jaime Reyes one. Fair enough. Yeah, he does. He gets a gem of power and finds out how to use it, and it's definitely a lot of potential there.
Yeah, it's a lot of potential. Like he technically could make. Oh, go ahead.
But not like the greatest American hero because he didn't have a good theme song that went along with it.
True.
He didn't.
That's probably 85% of the love for the greatest American hero is that song.
Uh-oh. My wife's calling. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Yeah. Hold on a sec.
All right.
Ken, do that thing where you block me out.
All right. Victor, you've got, of course, like I said, my first introduction was Spider-Man and Amazing Friends. For you, was it that as well, or what was your first step?
It probably was during this run. I mean, I remember him for like an instant in Giant Size X-Men. But yeah, it was mostly through the Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends at the time, because like I said, I was more into X-Men Blue during this period, so I wasn't reading the Gold as much. Picked up a few issues here or there, but he's not one that it wasn't when I became a fan of Iceman. Like, I think a few years later, I did like a lot of the stuff that I found out about Iceman and stuff like that. But it wasn't during this time that I was really a fan or I even knew much. It was really just that cartoon that like you. So
yeah, and there's another thought that's popped up in my head, but it went away as fast as it did. Trying to think where else Iceman had. I mean, he had a few guest appearances in the X-Men series. Like he had an episode where they introduced X Factor, and he's like, "Oh, we've got to get Lorna back," and they're like, "What do you? Okay, we'll go help you," because they flash back to when Bobby was first in X-Men, and they go confront X Factor and they fight with them, and for some reason Cyclops can't hit that blonde guy for some reason. Hello, Ray.
All right, am I back?
You're back, sir.
You're back.
Thank you.
So we were talking about like he had a minor appearance in the '90s X-Men cartoon, just an episode with X Factor, and they do introduce those characters.
Yeah, the X Factor series is one of my favorites, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of other times. The one thing is too is like I remember I think it was after this card came out, but they started to explore like the full potential of Iceman. There's a time where Emma Frost like took control of his mind, and she's like, "No, I need to survive." So she took control of his mind and just unleashed his power.
Yep.
And then,
that's right. That's when
how you got the big
spikes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when you finally got to see like the awesome Joe Mad art on the character. That was beautifully done. Beautifully done.
there's a line too. I don't know if it's like Executioner Song or one of those storylines, but or Extinction Agenda. He's talking about I'm trying to remember what he's like. I've never felt the need to be creatively, to delve into the powers, and he starts to ice himself up. So he starts to make himself like Hulk size. I mean, maybe more Doc Samson size, but he makes himself bulkier, and he's like, "This is going to give me strength." Yeah, and he's like
remember JR's run on Uncanny. He definitely bulked him up and made him like the spiky back and everything like that. That was really, you got to see him evolve as a character. That was kind of cool.
And I found out that he had, I think, melted, formed into mist, recollected himself, and it was just awesome. It was pretty awesome. I think it was, God, what run was that? I want to say the art was also a Chris Bachalo thing too.
Oh, yeah. There's a few different. Let's try and think of when that was. Could Iceman create extra ice limbs? Yes, he can. He can also. He's also done. He's moved
ice drones.
Right.
Yeah.
Ice giants.
I love when he's like from the future. He was an ice wizard. Remember that?
Oh, that's right. That's
and
right.
Ice It's just like this. It's
like Gandalf.
He was a Gandalf, ice Gandalf. Yeah. Gandalf, the ice, the frozen. Or let's not forget Iceman's the team. His best team was it the Champions?
Yes.
It was him, Angel, Ghost Rider, Black Widow, Hercules. Yep. Yeah. Yep. There you go.
Yeah. So that everyone brings us to the end of another page. That's another 9 cards in. And so for now, we've been on pod for a while. I hope you've enjoyed things. Anyone have any final thoughts before we wrap up for the night?
I mean, we talked about it a little. It was like the card layout when they use like the shapes in the background. Like I think that's very unique for this line. I'm glad they never decided to repeat it or try to retread it. So it makes this line so special, and it stands out. I love this line because of that. Like the whole like intergalactic background, but then you have this little shape that they're coming out of that shows like
where they're from, and
exactly. I love that.
Somebody mentioned that the pose that Iceman's in is kind of lackluster. I wholeheartedly agree. Lee Weeks is a badass. Like, so it could, but again, I feel like this is one of those runs, where artists have to churn some stuff out. And he probably was on a deadline, and God knows.
And who knows how many so far we've done like every third card's been Lee Weeks, so he did quite a bit for this series so far.
Yeah. Exactly, and I don't even know how large these were done. So I don't know. I mean, the pose definitely, yeah. I mean, after you see that Ghost Rider, everything, if it's not on that level, is underwhelming.
Yeah. But jumping back to chat a little bit too, Jay Williams was talking about how during the Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, Bobby was voiced by the same guy who did Freddy from Scooby-Doo. And I'm like, that's right. Like, I think
totally makes sense.
Like it takes me back. Like if you're a Scooby-Doo fan, you're like, hey, that's right. I do remember him like that. And also we've got, I believe, let me see. It was Rex mentioned that during Inferno, Iceman was stated that he could freeze the entire Earth. And I'm like, that's again where it's like you have this untapped potential with these characters where later on they would, or in certain times they'd have terms like Omega level mutant. And it's like Bobby always had that potential, but there's times where he's never, in alternate realities, you've seen him kind of come to fruition. Like I think I always remember AOA was one of the first times I loved the new design. He was all just spikes, and he didn't even use a sled. It just his lower half was that he just kind of zoomed around, and like that was, and like they would say like, oh, did they destroyed Bobby? It's like, oh, he'll be back. Like it was just nothing. Like he was essentially immortal at that point, and they took it for granted, but that just showed like how much potential he had.
Yeah, well, and then remember was it the Asgardian Wars, the New Mutants, X-Men, and Thor crossover where Loki screwed up Iceman's powers and he had to wear that belt to just hold back his powers.
Yeah,
because it could have been just
insanely
insanely go like ballistic on the world. So yeah.
That inhibitor belt, that's also one of the things where it's like when I think of certain things, I always trigger memory. I always think of Todd Knock because that's his favorite Iceman design is the Iceman with the inhibitor belt.
It really is.
And it's like, that's right.
I think of that inhibitor belt. I'm thinking of Todd.
Todd's piece is like his live stream and the stuff he's posting. He's killing it.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Totally doing it.
So yeah, I'm glad everyone was able to join us. I'm glad. Hopefully next time we can get everyone can come back and see more of the Marvel card series. We're just going to keep going with the series 3 for now. We've got a lot more to hit. We've got heroes, we've got team ups, we've got villains, we've got secret origins. I'm some of the people in chat. I'm hoping I have some of you come back and have throw in your 2 cents because it's always great to hear. In the interim, Ray, where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Twitter at RA Height, and you can find me on Instagram at Art of RA Height, and that's it. And then the funny pages. I still have my fan page up. I got somebody running it, but I'm really not on Facebook, so it's on Facebook. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I don't know. I'd love to do more of these. I don't know if I'll have time. A lot's going on I can't even talk about, and it's freaking phenomenal.
Good problems.
Yeah, it is. It's good problems. I'm trying. So, and yeah, anyway, I'm not saying too much, but anyway, yeah, it's awesome.
I think you're doing some live streams on your Twitch as well. Is that correct?
Yeah. So when I get a chance, like this week coming up, I'm not going to be doing any, but I'm trying to knock out some commission stuff because with the furlough and the quarantine and all that, like it just knocks the wind out of all of us. It knocked the wind out of me, and I was just trying to regroup, and it's taken this long to trying to to get my feet dug back in, and things are back on track in the best way. So that's great, but then it's kind of like, oh wait, I gotta catch up, like so I'm kind of doing that thing right now, but this was fun. And of course, I mean, it was you guys. So Ken, when you asked me to do it, I wasn't going to say no. So
I appreciate you taking the time. Vic, is there anything you want to shout out to?
Well, you can't really, I'm not checking on my social media as much, but if you just want to see any of the stuff I have, the dumb pictures, comments, or whatever, you could check me on Twitter or Instagram, DJ Blue Lantern on both. So yeah, just check them out. Other than that, you could find me most of the time hanging out with Ken, talking about nerd stuff.
I do know that you have one charity that you like to shout out when you do. What's that charity?
My charity?
Not the Wayne Foundation, but there's a charity.
Nice.
You've done a few runs like marathons and stuff like that.
The arthritis walk. You could just Google it and it'll show up. We my mom and my grandmother they have rheumatoid arthritis, and we tend to do the arthritis walk every year. Obviously, this is not a year we're doing it, but yeah, just check that site out. If you're able to see any area where you're able to donate at all, just please feel free to donate to them. But yeah, that's it.
All right.
So I'm gonna get a new handle called DJ Gold Lantern, and you can find me there.
So wait, so you're spinning for Sinestro now? Is that the plan? Like, okay.
He said Gold Lantern. He was written by Brian Michael Bendis.
Exactly.
Brian Michael Bendis. He's a Legion of superhero.
Oh,
exactly.
Wow, okay. See, I'm not even up to on everything. Like everyone's like, oh,
I even did like this sketch because I loved the character when I saw him. Did you see that?
Yes.
Yeah, I really love the character when I saw him, and if Brian is watching, whenever I get time, Brian, please.
This is streaming in Oregon, right?
Yeah. I know. Look, I know Ryan Sook is killing it over there on Legion of Superheroes and everything.
So beautiful.
But call me Brian.
And everyone, if you want to just check out Comic Banter, just at Comic Banter. I've got it across the different social media platforms: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Smash that like button. Just check us out when you want to see more. We'll try and keep everyone up to date, and when we do the next stream, we'll let you know. All right. Thanks, everyone.